Now? Okay, welcome everybody to LinkedIn for Breakfast. Great to have you here. We're still letting the room filter in, but I'm going to get started straight away. Let's have a look at you lovely people. So you just excuse the slight hushed voice, if you like. I'm in London today, so just in a corner of a coffee shop. So thank you for that. Not my normal setup, but I've got a cool little podcast interview for a big podcast that I've been looking to get on today. So I'm excited about that as well. It's Jason Greystone's Always Free podcast, if anybody's interested in it. Really good guy. So we're just in the studios about to get that thing done. So I thought I had to prioritize you guys first, of course, because like everybody who knows my content, it's all about having a weekly moment, right? Everybody should have a moment every single week that they put together their marketing, have the crescendo to what they do. This is my weekly moment. If you don't have a weekly moment actually in your week, something that is your focal point, something that you would prioritize over anything else, even on holiday, that I'll do these events, then you are missing out on this real figure point, this focal point for your marketing. So that's a quick tip for you guys today. But why are we all here? What is the reason? And so let me just share my screen. And I'll jump onto the slides for you now. 2 seconds. Let's actually hit the share button this time. There we go. And so we're talking about LinkedIn newsletters. And our mission here at LinkedIn for Breakfast is to make this a place where we help business owners look at LinkedIn, the world's largest professional network, as a powerful tool for both brand development. So that's people knowing more about you and what you do, but also so that's brand expansion. And the other one is for business development, which is the lead generation bit, the bit that gets the phone ringing, inbox pinging with inquiries. So we want to do both, one to help you get leads and also the other to help you get noticed. That's the whole point of what we do here at LinkedIn for Breakfast. And certainly when we break that down into little pieces, for example, a LinkedIn newsletter, we're going to cover both brand expansion and also business development today. So hopefully that will give you some pointers and some inspiration on actually getting your LinkedIn newsletter set up. What's our vision for this thing? Well, we want to make this the best place on earth to learn LinkedIn for free. And so the whole point of this is that we want to keep on growing the network, growing the amount of people that can join and enjoy this, and also giving you great content so you can grow your business. So we do that also within this cool free community called LinkedIn for Breakfast. It's a school group. And actually one of the things that we're going to ask everybody to do is to post the link to their newsletter when they either launch it today, or if they've already launched it and want to share it, and we can then all subscribe to each other's newsletters. That would be awesome. So that's get into that group. It's free. Flora's probably put the link to it in the chat right now. So jump straight on there, and I look forward to seeing you all in there. Good stuff. Yeah, I can see that. Join the LinkedIn for Breakfast community, and it's in the chat. If you're watching this on the replay, it will probably be below this video somewhere. Okay, cool. So, didn't mean to unshare there. Apologies. So let's get on to LinkedIn newsletters. So what is a LinkedIn newsletter? Well, essentially, they are an article that you have got subscribers for. So on LinkedIn, you can do posts, you can do videos, you can do articles. That article piece, they've actually segregated and allowed you to build a subscriber base for a certain type of articles, right? So if you want to build out a newsletter on, model railways, you could have a LinkedIn newsletter on that with its own set of subscribers just talking about model railways. If you're like me and you want to talk about LinkedIn and how to grow your business using LinkedIn, I have a LinkedIn newsletter for just subscribers of that LinkedIn newsletter for my posts, right? For my articles. And that's how it works. So I'm going to show you how to set one up, but essentially it's articles that have subscribers, and you bundle them all into one place, and they've got their own space on LinkedIn. And I'm going to show you that. Before you get started, though, you've got to remember that you need to have a couple of things. So LinkedIn allows you to set up a newsletter on both your company page as well as your personal profile. And let me just kind of dive into which one you should do in a second. But ultimately, you have to either have 150 connections, or you need to have 150 followers on your company page. Now, which one should I do it on is the question that a lot of people ask. And if all things are equal in terms of you are trying to attract a target audience on LinkedIn, most of us will have far more followers on our LinkedIn profile than we'll have on our company page. For example, I have 750 people who like my company page, but I've got 20,000 followers on my LinkedIn profile. So if I launched a newsletter and it pushed it out to those followers to say, hey, Richard's just launched his newsletter, would you like to subscribe it? I'll have a percentage of 750 or a percentage of 20,000. And so the amount of subscribers is going to be significantly more if I do it on my personal profile. Plus, here's the other thing, people buy people. And so in this micro environment that we're in as small business owners, and we're not, trading off the back of being, part of McKinsey's as a consultant or, we're Red Bull and we've got a big brand knowledge behind us. We've just got our little logo and our company, but ultimately it's you. It's you who they follow. It's you who puts out the thought leadership. It's you who's going to be writing the articles. And so people are far more likely to connect with you and network with you. Plus, when I show you the amount of followers, when you get those subscribers, you can actually start to connect with them and DM them. You can only do that as you because you can't connect with people as a page, right? So you can only gain followers as a page, but you can't actually proactively connect and then start messaging with someone as a page, right? So it's so much better to do as a profile. Cool. But that's all you need. You just need 150, okay, to get started. So how do you create one? So let me just kind of show you and jump onto LinkedIn and go through this. Oh, looks like I closed LinkedIn down. That was silly. So first of all, where is it? Well, if you go onto your profile and scroll down, or go onto my profile, most people who has ones will have it featured in the featured section, and you'll see a newsletter here with a subscribe button. And that's really powerful, and I'll show you why. But if you can't see that, then the other way of checking is just go to activity, and then you go along and look, it's got a new category there, a newsletter. And so you can click on those, or you can click on this and you can find your way to the newsletter. And as I say, the newsletter has a page. It has its own set of analytics. It's got its own little thumbnail, its name. It's even got newsletter across the top. It is an actual landing page. And in there, you can then start to see all the different things that have been published over time, right? So your articles will be there over time. If you've got some nice cover images for it, then it can look quite visually appealing, right? So this is a newsletter, and you can actually see your subscribers and when it's published. And look, if I click on this, I can see all these lovely people who are subscribed to me, right? And I can do something with them, which I'll show you in a second. Cool. So really powerful. It's a powerful place. It's another place that I can go to and I can actually market. And so I love it for that perspective. But let me just show you the nuts and bolts of making one, okay? So if I wanted to start this, I don't just press start a post like this. I go down to the right and I hit write an article. So this now takes me into the article writing section, which is important because this is very different to your normal post writing section. So many more features, so many more things going on, okay? And so when you are trying to create one, you'll know if you've already got one, by the way, because on the left-hand side, I've got Richard Woods, and you see underneath LinkedIn for Breakfast. LinkedIn for Breakfast is my newsletter name, so I can see it here on the left-hand side, right? And so if you've got one, you can have it in here, and I can say publish as, and I can publish as my page, and I can publish it to an individual article, which will just go on my profile as an article, or I send it to my LinkedIn for Breakfast, which one, it will still go on my profile, but two, it will actually then send an email through LinkedIn to my 3,000 odd subscribers. That's a very cool part of this, because if it's going as an email as well as going on my profile, then suddenly that's another touch point outside of LinkedIn, which is super, super exciting. Because most of us, if we are getting notifications from LinkedIn, means that we've got LinkedIn in our safe senders list, which means that most of the time, those emails will actually get through to us in our inbox. Whereas if you're sending out cold email marketing, or you're doing MailChimp or MailerLite or whatever it is on your normal email newsletter, then most of the time we're getting found in the spam box or in the promotions box. Whereas these LinkedIn newsletters have a better deliverability, so they're more likely to get through. Cool, right? Okay. If you don't have this, Then go on the right-hand side, and here there's the word newsletter. You click on this, and then you go down to this word here that says create a newsletter, and you'll be promoted with this slide, right? So if you haven't got one, this is how you create it. You then give it a name. You then say how often you're going to be publishing this, right? And let me just tell you, this is not legal requirement. Okay. So if you are publishing this, if you say daily, but you only publish it weekly, your thing's not going to get taken down. You're not going to get hand slapped. The only reason that this is important is it shows up when someone looks at your LinkedIn newsletter to see if they do want to actually subscribe to it as a daily or a weekly, etc. But you've got monthly, bi-weekly, weekly, daily. Now, personally, I would actually encourage everybody to have a weekly newsletter. Get some rhythm, get some consistency, because if you have a monthly, then it's unlikely, people will actually kind of look out for it because we're all so busy and we'll get out to the rhythm, right? And they are easy to do. They are just like posts. It's like putting a post together. There's no requirement for you to make it very long and very highbrow and very detailed. Actually, in fact, we find the LinkedIn newsletters that are slightly less detailed and just a little bit more punchy actually seem to have the most engagement anyway. So it's all about the image and actually the sharpness and the speed of your point that you make, and the value that you can give in a short amount of time actually seems to be best for LinkedIn content at the moment. So hence why something weekly that you could run. And I try and do it all on the same day. So you can run it every Wednesday or every Friday or whatever it is. Maybe it could be your weekly moment. So instead of doing an event like this, maybe your weekly moment is having an amazing newsletter that you launch each week, right? Okay, so you have it on terms of how often you want to do it. And then you can give it a description in here. So you can say, this is a newsletter where we talk about how to be able to grow your business using LinkedIn, or this is a newsletter to tell you about how to, collect a model railway, whatever tickles your pickle, and work through that way. Okay. Then the other piece, which I think is super important, is upload the image. So this is actually then getting a thumbnail image that you would upload. Now, I wouldn't do one of yourself. I would get a nice rectangular image. The reason why I say rectangular is because the way that it is presented across LinkedIn is always as a square. So even if I use this image here that looks rectangular, it will still crop it. So the best, or it will actually kind of have the gaps on the top and the bottom. So the best thing for you to do is to actually design it for maximum impact as a square image. Go onto Canva, just get like a square thumbnail, even just use like an Instagram post template because they tend to be square, and just get a nice one that just has the words to say what your newsletter does and make it big and bold. This is super important because when I show you how my newsletter presents on my feature sections on my profile, you'll see actually how the bigger and the bolder it is, the more likely it is for you to be able to get acceptance. So big, bold, and text. Make sure that people can read the big point about why subscribing to the newsletter. But that's it. These 4 things. So the title, how often, the description, and upload an image. And then once you've done that, it will create the newsletter. Now, what happens now is that when you publish, when you create a newsletter, you'll need to publish an article to it, okay? And then that article will share. So to publish an article is exactly how you would normally do it. You upload an image from the photo if you want to be able to do that. You just take a nice image that goes across. In fact, that's Jason there, actually, who I'm seeing today. He's that's us at the Shard. So you've got a nice image there, and then you'll have the title, so test, and then your text for your newsletter. You can go into here, nice and easy. And then I would put 3 hashtags at the bottom because the hashtags are important for being found. And one of the other benefits of a newsletter or articles in general on LinkedIn is that there's only 2 things that actually gets indexed by Google. And I've given the game away on one of them, which is obviously a newsletter. But in the chat, tell me which one is the other thing that actually gets indexed by Google, i.e. if you can find something from LinkedIn in the search results. Fantastic. All right, 10 points to Richard Hindwood. Because he said profile, because that is the other thing that thank you, Richard, that you can find. So if someone looks for Richard Woods, they may well find at the top of the search bar my actual work, my profile on LinkedIn. That ranks very highly for your personal brand. But the other thing is that people might see you as an author of content on LinkedIn, and your articles are found. And LinkedIn does this on purpose because it wants to start to use the SEO value, and now also actually starting to index that within AI to draw people from these search engines and AIs back into reading the content on LinkedIn. And of course, once you're in LinkedIn, you're within their walled garden. So you're a user within LinkedIn. And of course, these social networks, their share price goes up the more users they have and the longer people linger on it. And so that's why they are able to be able to do it, right? Do I hear that my volume keeps on cutting out? No, Flora's saying no. Is that okay? I think that might just be an individual, Caroline. Okay, no worries. Sorry, so that's good. I'm having a panic attack now. No, that's good. Okay, so yeah, so it's just so think about it. These articles have got other benefits. One, you can build a subscriber base, so that's awesome, right? So people that are subscribing to you. Secondly, you can actually get organic traffic coming from Google or from AI into your LinkedIn profile, into your LinkedIn article, and then from there you may well get them to subscribe, which is great. That's another lead. Or you may get them to go into your LinkedIn profile and actually check you out, and then maybe try and connect with you. So it's a great way of drawing people in. It's a pull factor that draws people in. Your thought leadership can work it through. So really big benefits, right? So now what happens when you post this? So you post your first article and you got it nicely set up. I've got it because I'm not doing this now because I don't want to set up a new newsletter called Test. So I'm gonna show you the screenshots of when we did do this. And so what happens next is this. Your connections and your followers will be invited to subscribe, which is wicked, right? So it means that your network gets invited. Now, here's the big thing. Not all 20,000 of my network are going to get this push, right? What will happen is a percentage of my network will get a push to say, hey, Richard has invited you to subscribe to his newsletter, exactly like you'll see below here. It comes in a similar place to where you get your invites to connect with people. And you can see here that I've got a couple of screenshots here. So newsletter, it's weekly. And this person, I blocked out their actual names, has invited you to subscribe. So this could be Dave Smith has invited you to subscribe to, and he's got his Monday Motivation weekly newsletter, right? Or this person here has invited you to subscribe to Gratitude and Resilience. Now, here's a couple of tips because these aren't great examples. This is practically how it happens, and I can press accept. But I really like Monday Motivation, maybe, and that maybe I subscribe to that if I really do like Dave Smith and I value him. If I don't know if a big influencer had invited me to do that, maybe I would do because I feel like they are motivational, so I subscribe. But actually, it's a bit of a bland, generic thing, right? Whereas if it was something that was a little bit more specific, a little bit more targeted based upon a target audience, then I think it could work, right? So actually trying to be a little bit more specific about how you work. So it could be something like weekly AI hacks, oh, that'd be quite interesting. Or it could be we've just been playing about with this new AI tools newsletter, where we every week we actually send out a free AI tool to our network that we've built, and that's worked really well. So people have been like, oh, the idea of an AI tool, that would work. In fact, Flora, if you can dig out the link to that, that'd be cool for the AI tools newsletter. Subscribe. That'd be cool because I could share that with people. But the whole point is that it's specific. So, a free weekly AI tool each week. Okay, that's cool. Gratitude and resilience, maybe again that's a bit generic. So if you can try and be specific and set the tempo. So to give you a real world example of our LinkedIn newsletter, let's just go into LinkedIn. So it's a weekly how-to video on how to grow your business on LinkedIn, right? So if we go down to here, so weekly how-to videos, LinkedIn for Breakfast newsletter, a weekly video packed with LinkedIn tips, hacks, and tips on how-to strategies, perfect for entrepreneurs looking to scale, right? So it really lays it out as opposed to Monday Motivation. Okay, so really think about what are you going to do with this and why would someone actually subscribe on it and go on a journey. Okay. Cool. The other thing, so that's going to go out to your network. Now a small percentage is going to have it to start off with. If they subscribe and press accept, then LinkedIn will reward you with more of your network getting invited to this. And again, if a percentage of those accept, then it gets more and more and more. So this is why it's important to get this right when you push it first, because you will actually find it goes into a bit of a snowball effect because you got the name right and your audience is good and wants to hear from you. So really, really cool. And we've had people that have had in the hundreds when they first do the launch of new subscribers, just leads out of nowhere. Okay. So the next thing is you personally will be the subscriber number one to your newsletter, right? So you at least have one subscriber when you do this. And so you'll be the first subscriber. And your newsletter will be posted on your featured section. So if you don't have a featured section yet on LinkedIn, you're crazy not to do it because you're allowed to pin different things like posts and newsletters and articles and stuff to this. Now, I actually only recommend two. The reason why I say two, because if you do three, everything gets smaller. And if you do four, then it becomes like a scroll where people have to scroll across to look at them. Whereas I go, just hit your two biggest call to actions in your feature section, and it sits really nicely on your profile. And I actually reference it, right? So look here, scroll down to my featured section for join link, right? So people can actually see it, in my top of my about section, free links and profiles in my featured section. So I'm pushing people down. Okay. So now we got this link to here, and you can see it's here, and I've got my thumbnail. I've got it in here, and so one-click subscribe. So that's really cool, right? It's the only thing on LinkedIn that gives you that one-click subscribe, so you can instantly get leads. And I do see them as leads because once you start to build this and you start to put articles out, you'll see here that you get these new subscribers. And look, if I click on here, which I am the only one. I'm the only person who can actually click on that because you won't be able to see my subscribers. And in fact, even the LinkedIn automation tools that we recommend, even the clever APIs that they use, can't even see my subscribers. Only you can do it through that one button and see your subscribers or someone logged in as you, right? And so now I can see someone here like Claire, who may well be on this call. So if you're here, Claire, great to see you. And so what I can do is I can then right click, open them in a new tab, and I'm just sort of showing you how we work. I can go check out her profile. And then if I do think that she is a potential person that I'd like to connect with, I can then send a connection message. But here's the difference, right? Claire is not a connection of mine, but she has made the first move. She has subscribed to my LinkedIn newsletter. Whereas if she'd just been on my profile and looked around, I may never know what her intention is. Yes, we can see people who have viewed our profile, particularly if you're paying for some of the premium tools, but we don't know what their intention is. Are they looking to learn from us? Are they looking to buy from us? Are they looking to sell us something? Are they looking to introduce us to people? Are they suppliers? Or do they just click on us by mistake because they got the wrong name, right? That all goes out the window the second Claire subscribed to my newsletter, because that made me know that she was interested, at least just curious, in some of the stuff that I say. And so that puts a completely new dynamic into my message that I would go out to her on, because it comes from a position of authority. I don't want to use that in a weird way, but like from a knowledge base. Yeah, I am producing content, so there's some credibility there, and she's very kindly subscribed, and so that's great. So I can make sure I just give a little nod to that in the connection message, which means the likelihood of Claire connecting and then continuing a conversation with me is very high, all because of this passive form of lead generation, which is having this LinkedIn newsletter on my profile. So I hope that this is really hammering home, because this is super important stuff, gang. It's a really great lead generation tool, and it's passive. It happens in your sleep. You get subscribers all the time. So the note that I would add to Claire would be, caps lock off. Hi, Claire. Thank you for subscribing to my LinkedIn for breakfast newsletter. And then I'm going to say, how Are things in this crazy? Well, I'm going to tell you why I say all this, right? Question mark, right? So the whole point of this, I'm saying, hi Claire, which even just saying their name, by the way, is also helps on these outreach messages. Thank you for subscribing to my LinkedIn newsletter. So I'm basically saying you made the first move, and I'm naming what it is because she might have subscribed to a couple of them that day, right? I'm not sure. And then the final things I'm doing is I'm not going, do you want to buy my stuff? Or did you know there's also a LinkedIn for Breakfast free community you can go on to? So I'm not trying to send her straight away. I just want to start a chat. So how's things in this crazy world? Most people will be like, oh yeah, it's really crazy. God, could you believe what's happening in, I don't know, Palestine? Or could you believe what Trump said left? Or can you unbelievable what Keir Starmer's doing at the moment? Whatever it is, right? Like people love to have like, God, the weather's terrible at the moment, like, kind of classic. Whatever it is, it's that conversation starter. It allows her to be able to just say whatever she thinks is crazy at the moment. But that's all we want because it's tongue in cheek and it just gets the conversation started. And then I can say, God, yeah, unbelievable, isn't it? By the way, did you catch any of my episodes of the newsletter? Did you know there's a community? And I can transition smartly and stylishly and less kind of like trying to sell you something straight away than doing it a different way, right? So there you go. So I can press send that. And I would do the same with every set. So every day, my team, because obviously I don't manage this anymore. We've got VAs. If anybody wants someone to manage their LinkedIn, by the way, and needs a VA, that's what we do. That's the day job. We don't make any money from teaching this stuff on LinkedIn for breakfast. So if you're looking for that, then that's something we can do. But that's the sort of stuff that we do every day. And if you're doing it yourself, do it every single day. Because look, this is another lead. This is another lead. This is another lead. This is another lead. In fact, this in the past 7 days, we had 23 new subscribers in a week of people just jumping onto this newsletter passively. All I had to do is just publish, a newsletter article. And for me, it's easy, right? Because all I'm actually doing, if I just show you this, this is just my YouTube channel, right? So this is the description of this how-to video that I put on my YouTube. So I'm actually using my YouTube strategy to be the content, and then I'm just using the newsletters to promote that content. So it's not even actually unique content. This is just my YouTube strategy, and I'm using my LinkedIn newsletter as a form of more traffic pushing towards new videos that I launch on newsletter. So it's not even a specific. I know people who do LinkedIn newsletters far better, by the way, than me in terms of content wise, and make them really great. And you could well be that person, but I'm just keeping it nice and easy for now, right? Okay, so that's why it's super cool and how you can go and outreach to this and actually why this works from a lead generation point of view. Hopefully you can see that is super easy and it just builds that credibility. And of course, the other thing is that I say to everybody, do 100 connections a week. If you're still doing 100 connections a week, but actually you are also connecting to the people who are new LinkedIn newsletter subscribers, add that on top because the likelihood of your subscribers connecting with you is massively high. And so actually LinkedIn allows you to push that sort of 100 new connections a week up to sort of 120, 130 if you are getting a high acceptance rate on your connection requests. And this LinkedIn newsletter strategy will give you a above average, much above average acceptance percentage rate than your normal outreach to other people, right? So it's really great from that perspective. Okay. So in terms of LinkedIn newsletters, let me just double check there was anything that here. Oh, yes. The other cool thing is about LinkedIn newsletters if you wanted to. And so I sort of switch in between this. So let me go onto my profile. You can, if you've got a premium profile, you can actually change your call to action button, which is mine is visit my website at the moment. You can actually change this if you wanted to, if you go down to this call to action place in your main profile, premium custom button, you can edit this premium custom button. And if you wanted to, I could make this view my newsletter and I could then transfer people straight over to that newsletter and that would grow the newsletter quickly. Now, if you are using a link, if you're using your newsletter as your weekly moment, which a lot of people do, so having it as the main focal point, then that could be great for helping to continue to grow that lead gen piece, right? And so that could be good. And let me just kind of draw that out to you. Let me just do a final kind of pitch to you on this LinkedIn newsletter strategy and why it could be good. And by the way, guys, just before you, whilst you're thinking about this is the sort of strategies that we help people for when we do these LinkedIn profile audits. They're free audits, they're one-to-one with you. And what I'm going to show you now is kind of a strategy after this. And those are the sort of strategies that you would want to think about actually implementing. And of course, we can run that through and work you out which one is the right strategy for you, and actually look at your profile and just see how it's all set up perfectly. So I'm going to stick that in the chat here. It's super, super easy, and it's free, it's one-to-one, and we'll go through strategies like this, right? So LinkedIn newsletter. So think about this. If you've got your week set up and you've got a weekly moment on a Wednesday, let's say, right? So on the Wednesday, your weekly moment is out here, and you're going to be pushing out a newsletter, right? So what the beauty of this is if we can think about our entire weekly strategy. So say we do this on a Wednesday, what are we going to do on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, if this is our kind of crown jewel, if we make the newsletter the focal point of our marketing? Well, what we always say to people is have 13 different topic themes. Why 13? Because 13 times by 4 quarters equals your 52 weeks, right? So that means you have a specific topic every single week that you're working with your LinkedIn. Okay. So you might have leadership one week, you might have resilience the other week, you might have gratitude the other week, whatever the topic is, you unpeel your topics like an orange. Clearly, this is my LinkedIn newsletter week, right? So this is one of my segments of my LinkedIn for Breakfast Orange, right? We might be talking about LinkedIn Analytics, which we did last week. We might have been talking about your LinkedIn profile, right? So I've unpeeled it into these segments, right? And we can then repeat these themes 4 times a year. And so it allows me to have consistency, and it also means that we'd have to keep on reinventing the wheel. So you can have that in terms of your themes for your newsletters. You don't have to share the same newsletter twice or even 4 times, but you can circle back to that same topic. So if you're talking about leadership as one of your weekly themes, well, crikey, how many different types of newsletter could you write about leadership? Infinity amount. So just having to touch that subject 4 times a year is quite cool, right? But that means on leadership week, on Monday, we could do a poll on Monday, and that poll could be around leadership. So you can say, well, do you think it's important to have better leadership or less leadership when people work remote? That could be the poll. You get lots of people voting about it, and that builds a kind of spike in the algorithm, that builds out a number of people interacting with your content. And then on Tuesday, what we can say is that we can say, hey, tomorrow, so this is what we call Promo Tuesday. So tomorrow we're going to be launching this awesome newsletter. You should really subscribe, because we're going to be talking about the 7 mistakes leaders make, right? So you're promoting the fact that people are going to the newsletter, and then that grows your subscribers of the newsletter. So that's your leads, which is great. Also, we can then DM and circle back to these voters in here on Tuesday and also say to them, hey, why don't you come and subscribe to this newsletter? So then all of this engagement also can then start to build your subscriber to your newsletters. And of course, what are we doing with those subscribers and newsletters? We are connecting with them, we are DMing them, and we're inviting them into a one-to-one meeting, ultimately to be able to go and sell them something, right? So that's the whole point of this. So every single one of these subscribers could become a connection, and a percentage will then answer your DM, a percentage will book onto your one-to-one, a percentage will close. We just need to know what percentage it is, and therefore keep on getting more and more connections. It's just levers to pull. That's what great marketing is. The better your newsletter is, the more people want to subscribe, the more people love it, the more people are going to message you to tell you that, the more people are going to book one-to-ones, the more you're going to make, right? Then Thursday, what we do is do a throwback Thursday, because if you've done this 4 times already this year, or 3 times already this year, and you're on the 4th quarter, then you've got 3 different articles on leadership that you could throw back. You could throw back a different one each time, and then you're repurposing content. And of course, you're only throwing back a newsletter, which again would actually get potential people to resubscribe if they have only see this Thursday post, but they don't even see this Wednesday post, or this throwback actually appeals to them more and they're a new connection. You'll find you'll get more subscribers in here from the throwback as well. And then the last thing we say do on a Friday is share a win Friday. And so, yes, this is great. We've been talking about leadership. We can engaging with people on leadership. We've been promoting. We've got a leadership newsletter. We launched the leadership newsletter. We've thrown back a previous leadership newsletter. But actually, do we know what we're talking about? How do we buy you? And so share a win is a case study, a testimonial, some sort of like video testimonial from a client, something to say, oh, I worked with Bob and he was the best leadership trainer that we've ever had. He was the best coach, or I helped to be able to work Sally's team to take her from this to this. This then locks in that actually you know what you're talking about here. And actually, it's worth having a one-to-one because I might want to buy you, all because we put this case study together. Get it? So it's super important. And if you haven't got an idea on how to be putting this together, or actually you look at it and go, geez, that's a lot of time. Well, yes, but no, because actually all of this could be done for you. And that's one of the things that our team can do. We do this all for you, you know, and here's the headline: RVAs are £5 an hour, right? And that includes UK success managers and everything. So if you do want to just get this moving, and someone to do it for you, even just discover what that might look like. As I say, just jump into one of these. This is a free session where we're going to audit your profile and look at everything that's working on in your profile. Oh, hello, I'm not putting this in here. And give you tips to go away with. Doesn't matter about us and actually working with us or anything along those lines. We're going to give you practical tips to improve your LinkedIn profile and your strategy. And if you're interested, we'll also open the door for you working with us. So do jump into one of those if you're curious. Okay. So I guess to conclude then, and then I'll open up for some questions. Please grow these things, right? LinkedIn newsletters are fantastic. Just making sure. Yeah, LinkedIn newsletters are fantastic for this purpose, and they are brilliant. And if you haven't done one, please launch one and then share it in our LinkedIn for Breakfast group, right? What we'll do is that we will tag, Flora, could you find the post where we all share our LinkedIn newsletters and pin it to the top of this community? If you can do that ASAP for me. And then at the top here, you will see pinned a place where we can all share our LinkedIn newsletters. We can subscribe to each other's LinkedIn newsletters. If you're launching your first one, I can have a look at it and give you some tips as well, and we can all start to grow together. Okay, so we're going to pin that to the top. So if you're not in this, then that's in the chat as well for you now. Good. Flora says it's done because she's hyper efficient there. Okay, so what we got the free AI tools here, which is cool. And then we got perfect. So share the link. So if you want to jump into our free AI tools newsletter we talked about, there's one there, but this is the one where you put in here. You can see here 92 comments and everybody's sharing their wonderful newsletters, subscribing, scratching each other's backs in there. If you've already shared but you've slipped right down, feel free to put a new share in as well, because that might help, because it'll be a bit further down. And yeah, let's just connect with each other and see what we're all working on, because that's how we bring this all to life. I hope that helps, guys. There were some amazing questions in the chat. So should we jump into some of those questions? Okay. So just because I'm not as quick as going through these questions whilst on this live. If you've got a question that you feel happy to be able to unmute yourself and just ask, please do, because it will help me out as I'm trying to dive in through these. So if you've got one that just ask it right now.
Hi, Richard. Question.
Anthony, good to see you, mate. Hello, mate.
Yeah, I'm really well. Two questions. I think I put them in the chat. Can you have more than one newsletter? And if you've got teammates who are on LinkedIn, can they all be pushing the same newsletter?
Yes. So you can all contribute to a company. So you could create a company page newsletter and you can publish to that. So to show you how that practically works, so in here on the left-hand side, at the top when I'm building it, I can then publish as LinkedIn for Breakfast. And then if LinkedIn for Breakfast had its own newsletter, which it doesn't do, then I can post it in here. if it's on my personal profile, which it is, and it's a bit confusing because my newsletter is called LinkedIn for Breakfast, right? I have a page called LinkedIn for News for Breakfast, which has this logo, and then my newsletter has this logo. So that's maybe confusing. Why don't I use a different example? So my personal newsletter is called LinkedIn for Breakfast on my personal page, but when I go to my company $1 Million Sprint, can you see how there is no newsletter associated with the company? Okay, so if I went onto my company page and created a new newsletter, and how I do that is exactly what I'm doing here on the right hand side. Go to manage, I go create newsletter, and then I could go and create a newsletter as the company. If I did that, then anybody who is working at $1 Million Sprint would see it as an option underneath here to publish to that $1 Million Sprint newsletter, which is great. And then what we can do is I can then actually go onto my personal profile here, and I can still have it on my feature section. So I'd go down to here, press plus, and I can then go add a newsletter, and then I would then find a newsletter because it's not showing now. It would find the $1 Million Sprint newsletter, and I can then add it and pin it as a featured post for people to subscribe to on here, right? So yes, I can do that. What it would miss though is it does not get pushed to my connections because it's on my page. It will be pushed to the page likes, and so that's where it will fall down a bit from that perspective. But from a publishing and managing and a team effort point of view, then that could perfectly do it. My preference, because obviously my team publish mine, is I just have my team log into my personal profile and publish to my LinkedIn newsletter. And if I wanted a few people that maybe weren't like VAs, for example, who are maybe my peers in my or what I mean by my maybe fellow directors would maybe be a better way of positioning that. Who I'm not going to ask a fellow director to go onto my LinkedIn profile and publish onto my LinkedIn, but what I might do is get all of us to say, right, let's go and do just one article a month each, and there's 4 of us, so that gives us a weekly article. Send it to my VA. My VA can then make sure that the hashtags are right on it, the images are right on it, and then the VA can publish it to my profile. And then we can also then go and share that newsletter on other people's profiles as well. And that could be a good way of doing it because it will help to push the numbers. And ultimately, Anthony, what are you trying to achieve? Are you going to try and achieve more people viewing and reading your newsletter? Or actually, do we just want to have more people subscribing to the newsletter, which allows us to get more leads and DMs? And I know one does help the other, but it's all about, from my opinion, the volume of subscribers, because that just expedites the leads. The leads then create more sales, and then more sales, help you to get bigger budgets and stuff to be able to do more of this stuff anyway. So that would be my thoughts on it.
I mean, I mean both. But I was just thinking that because I do different things. I thought it'd be good
Yeah.
for the team to publish on the companies and company. I mean, maybe we could do both.
Yeah. When you're doing different things, I would always try and say, get try and have a LinkedIn newsletter on each of your pages if they are very different. You've got a Amazon drop shipping business and you've got a property business or whatever it is, right? And you're trying to do specific things just for those two things, then have pages and contribute to those newsletters on those pages because they are so separate. And then you could use your profile to promote each one of those if you wanted to. But I'm such a believer of the power of one.
Yeah.
If you are using LinkedIn to be able to generate leads for this business and be able to make sales for this business, then use your personal profile and double down on it. Because your company page, will always have a weaker ability to be able to do much on LinkedIn. So if your entire strategy is to build 3 pages for the 3 companies to be able to generate leads for those 3 companies, you would get less leads by working all 3 pages than if you just focused on one company on your current personal profile. You get far more leads than those 3 pages put together if you just focus on the one. So it's kind of like, the return is better.
All right, I got a
Yeah,
question for you. Is that on in my property business, we have different services and different angles which people can connect in. So would that still be just like that's still one business, but there's different things that we offer. So
Uh,
would it just be different topics what we're talking about?
yeah, I think it's more down to audience. So one audience, as opposed to you can have multiple services selling to that one audience. But if it's just landlords who you're selling to, then that's perfect. You just produce content that landlords are going to be interested in, and then upsell them onto services from there that's appropriate for where they are in their landlord, life cycle.
And sorry, just lastly, even though you've got your newsletter, and I think my one's called Everything Property. Say for instance, because we've got an event at Waterloo next month called the Budget Meetup.
Nice.
Should I then change that to the Budget Meetup newsletter, or should I just keep it how it is?
Keep it how it is because it's all things property, right?
Yeah.
It's to do with property. So I think it's a great name, and all things property would be perfect. So keep it at that and work it through for sure.
All right, brilliant. Thank you.
That's no worries. I hope that helped, mate. Because that's the whole that LinkedIn for Breakfast allows me to talk about anything to do with LinkedIn and potentially some breakfast stuff as well if I really was interested. Um, so I think it's a perfect name actually, all things property, and then you can promote what you want within there, but try and keep it from a thought leadership point of view because that's what people read newsletters for. So Penelope, I think, oh sorry, Phoebe, um, your hand went down.
Hey,
Uh,
yeah,
hey,
sorry. It was just a really quick one. It was just about assets.
go for it.
For like the content and for photos that you're including in the newsletter, because you mentioned there's a specific asset that you need for like the cover. Is that the same for like all the images that go and like kind of, links that go within the newsletter?
So no, the newsletter actual format is really forgiving in terms
Okay.
of design because it keeps it very easy and locked in, right? So
Okay.
yes, the header here is what I would call the classic kind of YouTube thumbnail size, right? It's the kind of landscape size, but actually it will expand a bit. So if you want to go super like narrow and wide, it will work for that when you look at a newsletter as a page. Then if you want to put other things within it, then it's super easy to do. You can just add in those assets bits. So I'm just moving everybody's faces out of the way. There's this bit that says add image here, and you can just go select an image, and then it will add it into the content. Now, obviously, adding in portrait images like this probably going to push the text down. So I would recommend sort of landscape imagery. But it's nice. It allows you to have a little caption underneath each picture. And also, if you're into your SEO, you can then do things like the alt text within this. So you can then describe, what it was or add in your keyword within the alt text. What do we mean by alt text? Is basically it's another way of getting SEO keywords into your articles by naming the pictures with those keywords. So it's a bit of a hack. So if you know, on that front. So you can add that in. Plus, the other thing that's quite good is that you can hyperlink these. So I can link out to my event. So if you're Anthony, you want to promote his event, he could have a nice little button image that would then link out from that newsletter to his event. Remember, this is going to people's inboxes as well in here. So there's a few cool things that you can work on here. So there you go. Look, also describes people who can't see them, but it also does help with SEO front and back. So yeah, so that's kind of how the assets work. And also just try and remember, right? So it's easier, I'd say for me, because I'm using my images, my videos as the thing that I'm putting out on my newsletter. So therefore, I've got my nice image thumbnails already. But you can see here that all you get is the image, the title, and who it is, and any engagement. Then once you go into this, then you've got the text that goes into this. So think about the title, think about the image, because they're really, when someone hits your newsletter, all that people are going with. And so if you got something here that is, you can see my brand aligned is just, kind of personal brand and then whatever it is, try and think of what it is, right? And think about that. If it's very boring, like playing with just text, it's not going to be so easy, right?
Amazing. Thanks, Richard.
No worries. Steve, over to you.
Yeah, just a quick couple of questions. I've got a newsletter, but it doesn't appear on my features page. I've just tried to do what you did. It didn't find it. So how do I get it to automatically appear on my feature
So
page?
is the newsletter in your personal or is it on a company?
I've done it on my personal, but it's called Skills for Business Training, which is my company name. But it doesn't seem to appear on my features.
Have you written an article on it yet?
Yeah, I've been doing them for 6 months, every 2 weeks. So I've got loads of, yeah, but it doesn't seem to appear for some reason.
So where?
Yeah, there's lots of, the second one down.
Second one down. Okay, perfect. Yeah. So view my newsletter. Okay, and newsletter. There it is.
All right, but
should
that automatically appear every one I write?
No, so it is on your featured section.
Yeah.
And this is the top level skills or training. So this is not a newsletter, but where I was saying and why I don't like having more than two featured. You see how small these images are, and actually, and then I've got to go across and try and find this. And you've not got a square image, it's rectangle, so it's all kind of pushed up. But you do have the subscribe on there, which is great. So here you go. Look, click. You got another subscriber. Happy days.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you.
But if you go and check out, that how I just showed it with my two, which is quite a nice example for everybody. You see how this is big. So for me, this is why my kind of click to my group, and then here's the subscriber piece. But obviously, because you have more than that, yours was hiding. Plus, these are small. And also your images are getting cropped out all over the shop here. Like your head's cropped out, your head, all the rest of it. Whereas these are made for it. So on the links, you can see we use landscape because that gives us a bigger image on a link. So we made it specifically for that. And then on newsletter, you can't use landscape because otherwise it then looks like this, which then puts the links across. So we actually made it square. And so that, because also the other point is when you go onto your profile here, you can see it's also squashed up here. Whereas actually, if we go onto it like this, you can see here's the full thumbnail type piece. So that's what I said to you. So pick one call to action, stick it on the feature section, and also get rid of the other things on your features section. And how you do that, by the way, is you just simply would go on to edit with this pencil here, and then you've got your featured post in here, so you can remove from featured, or you can delete these things or add more in. So I personally love to, but I know plenty of other people do it different ways, but that's how I do it.
Okay,
does that help?
Yeah, that's brilliant, I think. And then just a quick question on you said about the hashtags on the actual newsletter. Do you put them at the bottom of the newsletter, the hashtags? Thank you.
Exactly. It doesn't matter where you put them on the page, but always works well on the bottom.
Right, thanks. That was my questions. Thank you very much.
No worries, Steve. Good stuff. So we've got 5 minutes or so to go. So I'll just do one quick final plug. Thank you, by the way, for everybody that is booked into one of these LinkedIn profile audits. This is the last one to share the link. So if you haven't got it up, do click on it in the chat, and I'll stick it into here. Jump onto one of those. Thank you, because my phone's gone. Pinged already, and people are booking into that. So I'm excited to go through your LinkedIn profile with you by myself or one of the team. Lovely. Okay, Lydia, over to you.
Hi, thank you. So quick question. What did you see work best as a CTA, or do you have a CTA, like, for example, with a coach consultant? So at the end of the newsletter, is it discovery call or free call, strategy call, or LinkedIn audit in your case with that? Or like I have a community on school, right? But it's paid. So I guess my question is, what is the best CTA you've seen work? Is the another free thing, whatever it is, discovery call or lead magnet, whatever, or you can actually put, because people have been reading you, so you can invite them to paid community.
It depends on what your goal is, right? So if you only want to grow the paid community, then I'd just start to direct people into that. If you don't do a sales call to get people into the paid community, how much is that? How much?
It's 25 at the moment. Is a pilot stage, and the pilot price is $25, so it's pretty low ticket offer.
Yeah, exactly. So I've got two school communities. I've got my free group, which is a LinkedIn for Breakfast, and then I've got my client, group $1 Million Sprint, which obviously is my high ticket mastermind type clients, right?
Yeah.
And so I would never go and do some LinkedIn newsletters and then try and get people to buy my high ticket without a sales call, right?
Sure.
So my objective would be to upgrade someone into my mastermind or to help them with a VA. So therefore, we want to have a conversation because we want to interview the client as much as they want to interview us, right?
Right.
Now I have tried to do when I say tried, I tested making LinkedIn for Breakfast $7 a month, and plenty of people brought it, but I was like, that's not me. I want to make this the best place on earth to learn LinkedIn for free. So I wanted to make it free. And so I unwound that very quickly and then made this free for everybody. And that's been brilliant because I can just put my heart and soul into this thing, get a great community, and then at the right time, people will reach out. And so here's the thing, when we talk about call to action, what does everybody think when I say, do you want to come on and have a discovery call with me? A discovery call or a coaching compatibility call. Basically, you're going to sell me something, right? It's a sales pitch. So you've tarted up a sales pitch into a discovery call or a strategy session. Everybody does that. Now, I don't think you should do this. I think that you should actually be thinking about making this a value session. And so, unfortunately, Richard, I'll finish on this point because we're running out of time. And Richard, if you want to put your question in the chat, Flora will take it down and I'll loop back to you with the answer to that. But I've actually got $1 Million Sprint coming on at 10, so we'll have to do that secondly. So when you think about your value session, that value needs to be so good as a one-to-one, because your one-to-many is your newsletter or an event like this. It's one-to-many, and then continue the value on one-to-one. So if you were doing, so for example, we do a LinkedIn profile audit. So that's one-to-one. We actually give value through their LinkedIn profile, give ways of being able to help and support. So if you're a coach, could you do a goal planning workshop with them? Could you do a lifestyle review or lifestyle rebalancing or a
values identification session, for example?
Exactly. Now I feel like I've read what your stuff is and your call to action is congruent with that, and I really want to learn more. I'm like, hell yes.
Okay.
I want to do that one-to-one. And so you built up your value with me, and then you open the door for me having one-to-one value with you. 1,000,000% I'm going to book onto that. So that's the best call to action.
Thank you. Very
and
valuable.
then potentially I'll be ready to buy at the end of that because I've had enough free. Then do you know what I mean? Like when you give true value, not everybody obviously, but like the people that really are loving what you're saying, they will be in the right place then. You're not doing it too early, you're not doing it too late. It's just perfect. Mary Poppins.
Thank you so much.
Okay, no worries. Thank you, everybody. I hope this has really helped. If you are a $1 Million Sprinter, we're going into our drop-in clinic where all questions go and we can go into down any rabbit hole. I'm going to close this room though. So MDF, do jump on to our drop-in clinic link. But for LinkedIn for Breakfasts, big love. Thank you all who are beaming in from over the world, even 4 a.m.ers on the East Coast. Good to see you. And I'll catch you on the flip side. Cheers all. Thanks again. Bye.